Go ahead, I say. Let it run. The lawyer's thumb drops. A soft relay clicks somewhere under the table, like a tiny door closing. The speaker crackles. The room holds its breath. Fluorescents hum above us. A tube buzzes, then steadies. The air tastes like old coffee and paper dust. My father's brass coin is warm enough to feel alive. I keep it flat to the veneer so I don't grind it into my skin. It wants to move. I want to move. I don't. Across from me, Mom leans back half an inch. Her bracelet settles with a little clatter, glass on bone. Her eyes cut sideways toward the glass wall. The receptionist looks up from the front desk, pen lifted, like she heard the crackle too. The blinds throw stripes across everyone's faces, courtroom bars made of light. The red tally light glows on the conference camera. In the corner, the notary caps her stamp and lifts it again. A quiet ritual, press, lift, press, like she's checking the beat of the room. The number screen in reception ticks over by one and makes a polite beep. We are on display. There is no later. There is only now. Attorney Tran clears her throat. Calm, practiced. For the record, she says, this reading is being video recorded with witnesses present. Please refrain from interruption. Any objections will be noted and addressed in probate court. Mom's mouth twitches. This is a will reading, not a trial. The will provides for recordings to be reviewed, Tran says. There are voicemails relevant to undue influence and attempted fraud. Calls to this office are recorded with posted notice. Her finger rests on the tablet like she could feel the weight of the file through the glass. Mom's bracelet lands another soft clink. It's illegal to record without consent. Tran turns her open palm toward the laminated placard taped near the door handle. All lines recorded. Consent required to proceed. The sign has a little red phone icon. The edges are curling. The tape is yellowed. It's been there for a long time. I breathe in fours like Dad taught me when we changed the belts on the shop vac. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. The coin presses a circle of heat into my palm, and I picture the nail it used to hang on above his workbench. The nail is empty. That emptiness sits behind my ribs, bright and clean. My brother sits to my left. He's chewing a cuticle down to blood. He doesn't look at me. My aunt has her hands folded so tight her knuckles shine. My cousin's phone is face down, but the camera lens peeks from the pop socket like a fisheye. The elevator dings out in reception and doesn't unload. The door stays closed, waiting, as if the building itself is listening. The speaker pitches a tiny tone like a throat clearing, a digital, polite cough, then silence again. A buffer. I can feel heat at the back of my neck. My shirt collar grips. Mom smiles without showing teeth. I came here to honor your father, she says, aiming it at me, not the lawyer, not the camera. She wants the sentence to be a stone in my shoe. The coin shifts against my skin. Ding. The sound is muffled and microscopic, but I feel it as much as hear it. I flatten my hand again. Tran is careful. She slides a sheet of paper onto the table that lists dates and times. 2 columns, neat as a ledger. For the record, she says. These are the clips we will play. They have been preserved in their original format. A copy will be lodged with the court along with the logs. The notary stamps once, a soft thud, a backed-up heartbeat. I know the script of these rooms. I've read guides and blogs, and one pale PDF at 2 a.m. with my phone on my chest. Checklist in my head. I run through it like a pilot's pre-flight. Camera on, witnesses present, evidence numbered, interruptions noted, chain of custody clear, custody no longer in Mom's hands. The red tally light doesn't blink. It glows steady, like an eye. Mom shifts again. Her chair sighs. This is harassment, she says, soft, for the microphone to pick up. Tran doesn't look away. This is procedure. I watch the receptionist beyond the glass pick up her desk phone and cradle it against her shoulder. She murmurs. The coffee machine spits a tired drip into a pot that was new last decade. Someone in reception coughs into a sleeve. The hallway smells like rain and carpet cleaner. Office air, that tinny recycled cold you can feel on your teeth. Dad's coin is slick. I roll it once along my lifeline and tuck it back down. The ridges on the edge bite in. Heat blooms there, a bright, small sun. Begin, Tran says, and her thumb touches the screen. The speaker opens with a tape hiss so tiny it's almost nostalgia. Then the office's recorded disclaimer. You are calling Tran and Associates. Your call may be recorded for quality and training purposes. If you do not wish to be recorded, please hang up and email our office. The voice is cheerful in the way elevators try to be. Mom exhales hard through her nose. Anyone can edit a file, she says, aimed sideways, not at the lawyer, not at me, but toward the camera, telling a future judge a story she wants him to hear. I hold my breath against saying something I can't unsay. My tongue presses to my molars. The coin keeps me quiet. A click, then the receptionist's real voice enters, brighter, human. Tran and Associates, this is Mai. Static kisses the edges, then Mom's voice rides in on the next second. Dipped in honey I recognize and dread. Hi Mai, it's Mrs. Ngayan. I need a small favor. The word favor stretches as if she is placing it on a plate in front of someone she thinks will never say no. No one in the room moves. Even chairs look like they're listening. Tran doesn't glance up. She lets it run. The timestamp quietly ticks in the corner of the tablet. Tiny numbers rolling like a train schedule. Mom hears herself and goes still in a new way, like a cat hearing a second cat behind a closed door. Her jaw sets. Her tongue finds a tooth. She is already forming another story. The emergency story, the story cleared of guilt, just in case. I smell lemon oil from the table polish. I smell wool from my aunt's coat. I smell the rubber on the stamp the notary keeps lifting and lowering to make sure it's still inked. I taste toner from the printer someone ran too hot in the back room. All of it puts me in my body so I don't float away from this chair. The speaker resolves a tiny shiver of sound. Paper rustles on the recording, maybe Mom's sleeve against a file. I'm hoping we can correct something, recorded Mom says, sweet and brisk. My husband signed the wrong page, and it would be so much easier if we just swapped. Quietly, you know, I can make it worth. The present Mom flinches and then pretends she didn't. The bracelet makes one clear, betraying clink. Across the glass, a delivery guy steps out of the elevator with a padded envelope, and then stops mid-step, reading the room. He shifts his weight like he's on a stage he didn't know he walked onto. The red tally light catches a sparkle in the corner of his eye, and he looks down. He stays anyway. Witness without wanting to be. The receptionist glances at the posted consent sign, and then at us, and then back at her screen. She doesn't smile. She doesn't frown. She exists inside a procedure that is safer than any single person's mood. My heartbeat sinks to the hum in the light fixture. The coin goes from warm to hot again, as if breath heats it from both sides, mine and Dad's. I think of his hand when he first dropped it into mine, the weight of it, the way his knuckles were nicked from years of work. Keep it honest, he said, and then laughed to make it lighter so I could carry it. Recorded Mom inhales on the clip. I can hear it, a little wet silk sound. I'm sure we can figure something out, she says. I could bring an envelope by. Tran slides a second sheet closer to her elbow. The header reads, Evidence Index. The columns are tidy. Item number, description, source, hash. It is so boring I could cry with relief. Mom's eyes flick to it and back up, fast. She swallows. The motion is a pulse in her throat. You owe me, she said a minute ago. She is already inventing the invoice. My mouth is dry. I steady the coin with my fingertip and feel the tiny star nick on the edge where Dad once dropped it on the garage floor. I press that star into my skin and let the pain outline my focus. The clip hits a small digital seam, a quiet, unavoidable pop as the voicemail rolls from greeting into message like a tape clicking past a notch. The pop lands and unthreads something inside my chest. The speaker hums. The room waits. To survive the waiting, I introduce us in my head like I'm labeling boxes. Dad first. Hoarder of old tools, rescuer of stripped screws, worshipper of order made by hand. He kept this brass coin on a little bent nail above his workbench, a circle of thumb-worn sun pinned to a wall of pegboard silhouettes. 1968 stamped clear as a bell. The year of his first paycheck. The year he stopped drinking. His proof that people can change if they measure twice and cut once. He pressed the coin into my palm at the hospice bed when the machines were talking to each other with little plastic sighs. Keep it honest, he said. And the coin was warm then too, and heavier than it should have been. Mom next. She preferred closed doors and whispered debts. A house full of hushed bargains. An IOU written on air and collected in attention, obedience, silence. She never touched the coin. Said it smelled like grease. Said it made the kitchen look like a shop. Me last, small on purpose. I learned to count my breaths the way Dad counted washers, 4s and 8s, so no one could see me counting. Learned to fit into the notch cut for me and not splinter the grain. I am counting now. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. The coin sweats in my fist. It leaves a perfect circle in my skin that fills with pulse. The room around us is our family geography drawn without paper. My aunt's hands folded so tight the knuckles shine like river stones. My cousin pretending his phone is face down, while the little eye of the camera catches light under the table. My brother's teeth on his cuticle, biting it clean as if he can eat his way out of being here. We smell like rain and mothballs, and the wet wool of coats shrugged onto chairbacks. The carpet holds the cold like a grudge. Attorney Lynn Tran clears her throat. That small practice sound is a lever. It slides the room onto rails. For the record, she says, and her voice has no weather. This is a formal reading. Video recorded. 2 witnesses, a notary present. Copies to be lodged with probate court. She places a tabbed folder like a ruler across the table, squared to the edge. Any challenge triggers the no contest clause. No contest hits like stepping off a curb you didn't see. My stomach drops and catches on my spine. I feel the coin's ridges the way you feel an elevator settle, a tiny deep click in the bones. Across from me, Mom's eyebrow lifts by exactly the width of a blade. It's not anger, it's calculation. How to touch the claws without bleeding. How to say she never meant contest when she meant control. Tran turns her tablet so the camera can see the screen. The red tally light keeps its steady glow, no flicker, no mercy. The notary presses and lifts her stamp again, like she is testing a pulse. Press, lift. A soft rubber kiss. I clock the chain before it's even needed. Recordings downloaded to a labeled drive. Checksum printed on a sheet. Thumb drive in a sealed envelope. Seal signed across the flap. Envelope numbered. Envelope witnessed. Evidence handoff clean. I have read about this at 3 a.m. with the bathroom fan on, so the light doesn't show under my door. I am ready for boring. Boring is how truth wins without shouting. Calls to this office are logged, Tran adds, like a weather report. Notice is posted. She tilts her chin toward the door where the laminated placard has curled edges and a red phone icon. We comply with all party consent laws. By proceeding, callers consent. Mom's shoulders tighten half an inch, the distance of a whisper. The bracelet on her wrist gives a small glassy sound that tries and fails to be delicate. No one told me that, she says, soft enough to be deniable. It's in the greeting, Tran says, mild. It's also on the website. Behind the glass wall, the receptionist lifts her desk phone, presses a button with a clean electronic tick, and murmurs into the handset. The coffee machine coughs and spits a tired drip. The hallway thermostat clicks. Office life keeps doing office things while our family becomes a lesson. In my palm, 1968 shines against sweat. The numerals feel like braille I have not yet earned. I rub the star nick along the edge where Dad dropped it on concrete once and laughed at himself. He made mistakes and then repaired them. He showed me how to extract a broken screw using a rubber band and patience. He showed me where to put my hand on the back of the drill to keep it true. Tran lays out the operating picture like she's drawing a map we can walk. This packet contains the will, the later video statement, and the inventory. This packet contains call logs from our office. Exhibit stickers are applied. For the record, witnesses are Ms. Nguyen and Mr. Vo. The notary's stamp thuds twice into paper and leaves a raised seal that catches the light. If there are objections, we'll note them, and I'll advise you to file properly. Mom's laugh is sugar over glass. Objections, she says, tasting the word like it could be hers to own. My aunt flinches. My brother's finger bleeds a little, and he sucks it without looking away from the table. The elevator dings out in reception, and then dings again when no one gets on or off. The sound hangs, a polite question that forgets to stop asking. I'm going to sit forward, I tell myself in the private radio of my head, and I do. The chair creaks once. The coin warms to my pulse like it recognizes altitude. Something is about to break in a clean, legal way. Not a fight. A seam. I keep my breathing easy. I keep my hands where the camera can see them. I want the tape to show stillness where I have none. Through the glass, a courier with a padded envelope shifts from heel to toe and decides to wait. The receptionist tilts her monitor so the reflection doesn't glare into the room. A man in a gray suit checks the number screen and sits down again. The whole office holds itself polite and steady like a courtroom that grew in a corporate lobby. Ms. Nguyen, Tran says, gentle as a warning tone. Please remember, no speaking over the audio. Mom doesn't look at the sign. She looks at me. Her mouth makes a quiet, careful smile. That feels like the pressure right before a lid pops. Ready, Tran says, and presses play. The speaker breathes. The disclaimer chimes again in miniature. The receptionist's voice answers the incoming line on the recording, and I brace for Mom's. The coin is a hot button in my hand. I picture the nail above the bench and the square of darker wood where it used to hang. I picture Dad's handwriting on the garage whiteboard. A list of steps for changing the belt on the sander: unplug, remove guard, loosen tension, lift, replace, tighten, test. A checklist to keep your fingers, a way to keep blood where it belongs. My pulse finds the fluorescent hum and matches it. The red tally light glows steady. The notary's stamp rests, inked and ready. Tran's pen lies parallel to the folder edge. Everything is squared and recorded and waiting. And then the first voicemail pops, and Mom's own voice pours out, brittle and bright. On the speaker, she purrs to the receptionist first, polite and practiced. I need a small favor. The warmth in her voice is a tool, not a feeling. She doesn't say her name. She doesn't have to. The receptionist's hello brightens half a tone. I can hear keys tapping. A smile stretched over service. I feel the coin heat in my palm and flatten it against the table so it doesn't print a circle into the veneer. The ridges saw at my lifeline anyway. The air tastes like coffee gone stale. Paper dust hangs at the back of my tongue. Is Attorney Tran available? Recorded Mom asks, silk passing over a blade. It's about a signature page. We signed the wrong one. Silly us. I'm hoping we can swap it, quietly. The word quietly comes wrapped in ribbon. The ribbon hides the string. The receptionist hesitates for a breath that clicks in the mic. 1 moment, please. A hold tone barely rises before it cuts. There's the faint shuffle of a transfer. The office's recorded consent message replays in miniature. Your call may be recorded for quality and training purposes. If you don't agree, please email. It nests inside its own echo like a warning printed 3 times on the same label. A soft relay thunks somewhere under our table. Nothing dramatic, just a machine confirming itself. The notary's pen freezes midair. My aunt crosses herself and keeps her eyes closed, as if that could keep sound from entering. Tran's voice arrives on the clip, flat and crisp. This is Attorney Tran. Oh, hi dear, recorded Mom says, brighter still. You spoke to my husband last week. He's having trouble focusing. It would help so much if we could swap the last page for the right one. I can bring a thank you envelope. Thank you lands with a smile you can hear. Envelope lands with a weight you can't. Air moves wrong in my chest for a second. The shape of grief sits up like a cat and looks around. It smells like Dad's winter jackets, cedar and old smoke. I keep breathing in 4s. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. The coin pulse warms to the count. There's a tiny room sound on the recording, a paper folder sliding. We do not swap pages, Tran says, the words trimmed clean. If a correction is necessary, we prepare an amendment. Both parties sign. We file it with the court. Recorded Mom lowers her voice like a conspiracy shared over soup. But this is extremely simple. He signed the wrong version. It would be so much easier if you just backdate. Backdate falls like a box of nails off a shelf. It hits everything on the way down. Gasps pinball around the glass room and thunk into the carpet. My cousin's shoe knocks the chair leg. The receptionist beyond the partition looks up, her pen lifted like a small flag. The elevator chimes in the hall. It holds its door like a polite hand someone forgot to shake. Mom shifts in her chair. Real Mom, present tense Mom. She makes her face blank like a clean page, and then writes on it. That audio is edited, she says, cool as a lawyer in a movie. Anyone can stitch words. Tran doesn't look away from the tablet. For the record, she says, and reads from a printed log without hurrying. Inbound call from your number, date and time, notice given by automated message. File integrity verified by hash. She taps the margin with a finger, a metronome for certainty. Backup stored on our server with automatic checksum. A copy logged to external media under seal. The notary recovers and sets her stamp down with a gentle thud. The sound feels like a heartbeat you can see in paper. The red tally light on the camera stays steady. A small, tireless eye. Recorded Mom keeps going because Recorded Mom doesn't know she is on a loop. He owes me, she says. Less sugar now, more bone. All the years I kept that house upright. All the years I covered. He owes me. So I need you to help me fix this mistake. My throat tightens the way it does before I sneeze. I press the coin's edge into my lifeline and drag. It stings clean and keeps me here. The metal prints heat deeper into skin where I mark myself with it. Tran's voice on the recording stays level. We can schedule an appointment for both parties to sign an amendment. I will not backdate any document. Recorded Mom exhales through her nose, a quiet veil of irritation. You're making this difficult. It's procedure, Tran says. The conference room holds its breath again. Out in reception, the coffee machine emits a tired gurgle. The number screen ticks up and makes a polite beep. The courier at the desk adjusts his grip on a padded envelope and decides to freeze like a deer inside a painting. He's part of it now, witness by proximity. Next to me, my brother whispers air through his teeth. I can't tell if it's a prayer or a pressure release. He bites his cuticle and looks at nothing. The smell of mothballs flares when my aunt shifts her purse. A coat sleeve whispers against plastic chair arms. On the recording, the receptionist comes back on, voice careful. Thank you for calling, Mrs. Nguyen. Is there anything else today? Yes, Recorded Mom says, snapping the ribbon tight. Make sure this doesn't leave your office. The clip stops with the soft click of a button not meant to be heard. Silence doesn't just enter. It takes a chair and sits with us. Fluorescents hum like white bees. The coin breathes against my palm. It's spliced, Mom says, projecting to the camera, to the future, to anyone she thinks might rescue her if she sounds reasonable enough. Tran lifts her eyes, expression flat as paper. The metadata will be provided to the court with the recordings, she says. Date, time, inbound line. Our automated disclosure is audible at the head. We have a posted sign. She nods toward the laminated placard by the door with its red phone symbol and tired tape. We comply with consent laws. We also have the second voicemail. Mom's jaw muscle twitches near her ear. The bracelet on her wrist taps once, glass on glass, and calls itself an accident. She leans toward me, breath carrying mint and something hot beneath it. Her voice is soft and intended only for me. You'd be nowhere without me. My spine goes cold. I keep my eyes on the tablet so I don't give her the face she wants. My voice is steady when it comes. Then hear the rest. Tran's finger hovers over the second clip like a surgeon's instrument poised above skin. She glances at the notary, who nods and sets the stamp aside after checking the ink with a quick press lift. A tidy raised circle blooms on scrap and proves the seal will take. Chain of custody stays unbroken. Witnesses present, camera rolling, evidence numbered. Everything squared. Beyond the glass, the elevator dings again and holds. The courier shifts and plants his feet. A man in a gray suit sinks back into his chair as if he remembers how to sit. The receptionist lowers her phone slowly. The red tally light burns steady. The coin in my hand is a small sun. I feel the star nick with my thumb and align it with the crease of my palm, as if it's a seam that decides how I hold things from now on. Play the second one, I say, and my voice sounds older than I feel. Tran's finger lands, a soft click. The speaker inhales. The metal of the coin warms again. A little sun trapped in my fist. Recorded Mom is brighter, faster. Look, I can do 50, cash. The number hits the tabletop like dropped cutlery. Just for the swap, you understand. Keys rattle faintly on the clip. The receptionist must be moving something on her desk. Tran's voice stays even. We do not accept cash envelopes. We do not swap signature pages. Recorded Mom tilts sugar into threat. It would be a shame if people learned what my husband was really like when he drank. He owes me. My daughter owes me. I have stories. The word stories sticks to the roof of my mouth like caramel that burns. My hand tightens on the coin until I feel the star nick press a tiny sharp into my lifeline. I release a little, not enough to let go. Out in reception, the number screen advances and gives a polite beep. The courier adjusts a padded envelope and pretends not to stare. The elevator dings, then waits, then dings again. The room is a fishbowl. Every eye is a lens. On the recording, Mom drops her voice. If this gets messy, I'll have to tell people you harassed my family. Harass slides out like a knife disguised as a spoon. Even the speaker seems to flinch. The audio fuzzes for half a breath. The receptionist beyond the glass picks up her phone and presses a button with a crisp tick. She covers the mouthpiece with her palm and murmurs. The word security drifts across the carpet like a cooled ember. I can't tell if I hear it or read it in the way her mouth shapes the syllables. Tran on the clip is a metronome. We do not engage in smear campaigns. If you believe there is an error, please schedule an appointment with both parties present. We will prepare an amendment. We will file it with the court. Recorded mom softens as if none of that landed. 50 then, 75 if you handle the paperwork. And you'll backdate, of course. Backdate again, nails again. This time it sounds like they spill directly into my chest. Mom in the room moves her jaw once. Present, Mom. She says to the air, lawyer tricks, like it's a phrase that works on machines. Tran stops the audio with one tap and lets the silence sit. The camera's red tally eye glows steady. The notary's stamp waits inked on its side like a little turtle. The carpet's pattern swirls as if the room itself is trying not to look us in the face. For the record, Tran says, and her voice keeps that thin, calm edge that makes lies slide off. She lifts a stapled packet. We have received a document titled Codicil, left at the Nguyen residence. The document's signature lines show characteristics inconsistent with prior exemplars from Mr. Nguyen. Chain of custody is logged. Item number A1. Retrieved from the client by me personally. Sealed in an evidence bag with tamper-evident tape. Seal number recorded. Hash of the scanned file noted here. She points with a capped pen. A tidy dot lands on the column labeled hash. My heart finds the hum of the lights and holds it. I flash to the morning I found it. White paper tilted wrong on the kitchen island. Dad's name slanted like it had been pushed from behind. The coin tapped my thigh as I stood there with the refrigerator motor droning and the smell of oranges under the peel. I lifted the page with 2 fingers at the corner, the way Dad taught me to lift glass, no smudges, and slid it into a freezer bag. I wrote the date on a sticky note with a felt pen. I put the bag in a cereal box. I carried it to Tran last week, coin hot against denim the whole car ride. Procedure as a rope in my hand. Tran continues. Mr. Nguyen recorded a later video will to protect against undue influence. That later will explicitly voids any prior inconsistent documents. 2 witnesses present. Notary seal applied. Video and transcript lodged. The notary thuds her stamp into a form, once, then twice. A quiet, repetitive heartbeat. The receptionist's voice, on her current call, lowers to a murmur and disappears. The coffee machine coughs a final drip and gives up. No contest clauses here, Tran says, sliding a page to the center like a teacher setting down a test. Any challenge or act of fraud voids bequest to the challenger. There is an exception for good faith questions of construction. Fraud and duress are not good faith. Mom laughs in a way that shows no teeth. You people are dramatic. It's law, Tran says. The coin keeps me in my body. Its heat, its weight, the little sting where the nick sits. I roll it once, a slow half circle against my skin, and rest it again before it can clink. My brother leans in so close his shoulder touches mine. His voice is paper thin. You knew? I nod once. I saw the slant. He looks at the tabletop like there's a trap door in the grain that might open and let him fall safely somewhere else. His bitten finger leaves a tiny crescent of red on his thumb. He rubs it away on his jeans and fails to make it disappear. Mom tilts forward, breath mint sharp with something hotter behind it. You'd sell me for a coin, she says. So quiet the microphone has to lean in to fetch it. Keep it honest, I say, and the words taste like metal and orange pith. Chairs scrape. The sound is a tide pulling back before it breaks. My aunt shifts her purse and knocks the chair leg. The purse emits the clean, embarrassed chime of her church keys. The courier plants his feet. The man in the gray suit taps his knee once, then stops as if someone told him to freeze. Tran checks her tablet and then speaks for the camera. For the record, building security has been notified of a potential disruption. We will continue with the reading. Any threats to witnesses will be reported. Mom's bracelet taps glass on glass and calls itself a tremor. Threats, she whispers, auditioning innocence. I keep my breathing steady and my hands where the lens can see them. The coin is a small, deliberate flame. If she speaks again, she risks more. The clause is a mule. It kicks the person who provokes it. She knows. Her throat works as the knowledge slides down like a bitter pill. Tran restarts the clip at a marked point. On the recording, my mother's voice loses its silk. "If you won't help me, I'll come down there myself," she says, brisk and bright. "Let's see how your receptionist likes complaints." On the other side of the glass, the receptionist straightens a stack of intake forms, edges square, corners aligned. She picks up her desk phone once more and murmurs something that ends with the word lobby. Her pen makes a neat note on a pad and underlines it twice. I work the coin and keep my voice in its casing. The fluorescent hum flattens into a tone I can ride. The red tally light is an unblinking planet. The notary places her stamp in its tray and aligns it with a piece of tape like a runway marker. Somewhere down the hall, a heavier door opens and closes with a padded thump. Air pressure shifts. Chairs hitch an inch closer to the table as if pulled. The room tilts toward the door without moving. My brother's breath clicks. My aunt's rosary taps against her purse with a small, decisive tick. The conference door opens, and two detectives stand there like parentheses. Detective Min and Detective Hoa stand framed by the doorway in their dark jackets, hands easy and visible, voices steady like the Coast Guard in a storm. The room rearranges itself around their presence. Chairs square, spines straighten, breath shortens. "Can we step into reception?" Min asks. His badge flashes a dull sun. Hua keeps her hands clasped at her belt, the snap on her holster quiet and closed. They don't touch anyone. They don't even cross the threshold. Tran nods once. Calm, administrative. "We can continue the reading after," she says, and slides the tablet into sleep. The camera's red tally light dims, but doesn't go black. Stand by. The notary caps her stamp. The soft click sounds like a lid settling onto simmering water. We spill into the reception like a held breath finally exhaled. The lights out here are too bright, the color of clean teeth. The coffee machine throws a burnt smell into the air that clings to the back of my tongue. Shoes squeak on the waxed floor. People look and then try not to. The glass walls turn everything reflective. I see two of me, then three, coin and all. The elevator dings and holds. The door doesn't close even though no one enters. A hand must be on the sensor off screen. The number display ticks up one and beeps. The receptionist straightens a stack of forms with the squared precision of someone anchoring themselves with corners. The courier freezes mid-step, padded envelope clutched to his chest like a life vest. Mom arranges her face in public. Tears without wet. Voice pitched for cameras that aren't here but could be. One hand to her throat like her dignity is a necklace someone is trying to yank. "This is a misunderstanding," she says, gathering pity with a clean sweep, like a woman pulling leaves into her yard. Tran gestures toward the laminated sign near the door, the one with the red phone icon and the yellowed tape. "Our lines are recorded. All party consent. Notice posted. Voicemail greeting includes the disclosure." Her tone is a weather report, not an argument. "We have provided the recordings to detectives along with email headers and a document labeled codicil with irregularities." Min holds a sheet of paper, the kind with a header that makes rooms pay attention. He reads without heat. "For the record, we have reviewed preliminary materials supplied by counsel. Probable cause exists for attempted fraud, bribery, and intimidation." The word intimidation taps the glass like a fingernail. Heads turn, a man in a gray suit finds a chair and decides to belong to it. Someone coughs into a sleeve and then remembers not to make noise. Hoa's chest mic emits a tiny double beep as she taps it once, a note on a stave. She says, "Ma'am, we'd like to get your side." Open palm. Invitation. No pressure on the wrist. No hand near an elbow. She stands where the glass catches her reflection and makes her two, then one again. Mom breathes in and aims sorrow like a flashlight. "My husband was confused," she says. "I was trying to correct a mistake. They're twisting this." Tran's face does not change. "Date and time of your calls are visible in the logs." "I never consented," Mom says. "The greeting states the calls are recorded," Tran says, and points again, not unkind, at the sign whose edges have released the wall like old scabs. "You stayed on the line. I do something small that I know matters later. I pull out my phone. I open notes. New page. I write Min's name and Ho's name, spell them as they pronounce them, then a dash. I type the words he read. Attempted fraud, bribery, intimidation. I add the building, the floor, the smell of the coffee, the elevator held with a hand. I timestamp it. I give it a title I'll remember. I add one detail I don't want to forget. Red tally light dim, not dead. The coin sits on my phone case while I type, a warm circle against the plastic. It leaves a faint damp ring from my palm, like a watermark pressed by breath. I feel Dad in the way my thumb moves to correct a typo. Slow, deliberate, pressure on the back of the drill. Mom's eyes flick to my screen and back to Min's paper. The hopscotch of a mind calculating angles. Her mouth thins. She understands that notes close exits. My daughter is angry, she says to Min, to Hoa, to the room that keeps expanding to fit our shame. She's making a scene to impress this lawyer. Hoa doesn't blink. We're here because of evidence, ma'am. The courier clears his throat into his sleeve. He tries to move and cannot. The receptionist keeps her posture like a statue dedicated to the god of pens. Someone's roller suitcase clicks over the doorframe and stops. The elevator gently pings that has been held too long. Min lowers his paper and speaks like a flight attendant giving emergency instructions no one believes they'll ever need. Here's the plan. We're going to ask a few questions. We'll let you know what happens next. If you prefer, you can accompany us downstairs to discuss at length. Am I under arrest? Mom asks, stage ready. Not at this time, Min says. This is voluntary. This is harassment, Mom says, almost bored now, the hand at her throat rehearsed. These people are out to humiliate me. Tran steps half a pace back into the frame, angled so the sign and the camera see her profile. We have an all-party consent policy, she says. We post notice, we advise by greeting, we log calls, we preserve originals, we provide copies. My brother stands to my left like he's not sure if the floor will hold. He leans a shoulder into me, and I take it without looking. He whispers, "What do we do?" "We let procedure work," I say. The coin warms another degree, as if it knows the word. A building guard appears at the edge of the glass, a calm gray uniform. A radio clipped to his shoulder that chirps a polite static whisper. He doesn't enter. He stations, open stance, hands visible, eyes soft. The reflection makes him 3. The radio gives a tiny regular hiss, like distant surf. Hoa turns her head slightly, acknowledging him, then returns her attention to Mom. No one raises a voice, no one moves too fast. The reception becomes an accidental stage, and everyone knows the blocking without rehearsal. Min scans the paper for one last line he needs to say. The printer in the back room hums once and stops. The coffee machine surrenders a final thin drip. My phone vibrates with a calendar alert I forgot to cancel. I silence it and add that detail to the note. A record of the life that tries to continue while your life is being measured. "Ma'am," Min says, his voice low and even. "We have audio of you offering cash to alter a legal document, and of you suggesting backdating. We also have an alleged codicil with inconsistencies. Counsel has provided email headers showing contact with a mobile notary." He gives her the facts like stepping stones. "We'd like you to answer a few questions." Mom's eyes sharpen. For a second, I see the edge that always lived under every favor. She looks past Min to the glass, finds herself doubled, then looks back to me as if I am the thing to move. "You owe me," she says, smaller now, meant only for my ear. The coin presses its circle deeper into my palm. I don't answer. I don't look away. I keep my breathing at 4 counts. Hoa touches her mic. A quiet beep. "Ma'am," she says, and her mouth shapes the word into a kindness. "Please keep your hands visible while we talk." Mom lifts both hands as if to show she's unarmed, then lets them hover, ballet pretty. She glances at the cameras that are not there, sees the ones that are, sees the eyes that function like cameras anyway. She moistens her lips with a clean, efficient sweep of her tongue. Tears gather without falling. Min folds the paper once and tucks it to a clipboard. He gives the room a second to settle. He looks at the sign. He looks at Tran. He looks at Mom as if she is already on a path, and all he is doing is naming the turns. "Ma'am, please turn around," Min says, and the room stops breathing. Mom doesn't move at first. A single muscle jumps in her cheek, a pulse you can see. Then she turns slow, like a hinge that's been painted over too many times. Hands come up away from her sides, fingers long as a ballerina's. The lights feel louder, The carpet smells like wet coats and burned coffee. Hoa steps in, steady and respectful. Hands behind you, please. The click is clean metal in a room full of paper. One cuff, then the other, a matched pair. No drama, no scrape. Just the sound a lock makes when it finds the home it was made for. Mom jerks once, a quick pull like a fish testing a line, then stiffens. The show begins. My daughter is unwell, she says, head tipped for pity. She's been manipulated. I've given my life to this family. Phones rise around us like flowers toward sun. The courier forgets the envelope in his arms. A man in a gray suit lifts his camera as high as decency allows, and then a little higher. The elevator dings and stays open, as if the building itself wants to watch. Min's voice is a smooth recitation, the cadence of a pledge. Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent. He reads the rest without hurry, no sharp edges. Each right set down like a plate at a table. Do you understand these rights as I've explained them to you? I don't understand any of this, Mom says, which is not an answer and also the only answer she has. Hoa touches her chest mic. It chirps a crisp, small beep. Time of detention, she says, and states it clearly. She repeats Mom's name. She repeats her own. She repeats Min's. The words become a chain, each link held up to the light. Tran steps to the reception desk and slides a small, clear envelope across. Thumb drive sealed, label neat, signature straddling the flap. The receptionist checks the seal number against a log and reads it back. Tran adds a stapled stack of printed call logs to the pile, edges square. Copy for your file, she tells Min. Originals retained. I'll email the encrypted versions. The notary opens her ledger, flips to a fresh line with a papery whisper, and writes, Interruption noted, she murmurs, and stamps the probate packet with a soft, satisfying thud. Her raised seal glows in the bright overheads like a ripple frozen in wax. Authority stacks like plates, each one steady. The sign about recorded calls points at all of us with its red phone icon and curling tape. The camera's tally light hums red again as Tran taps the record icon back to life. The building guard holds his post, radio on a low hiss, palms open, stance neutral. The receptionist's pen ticks against the log, columns filled. Who, what, when. Mom swings her face toward me as Hoa guides her by the elbow. Her voice sheds politeness the way a wet dog sheds water. You owe me, she spits, louder now, trying to rebrand humiliation as righteousness. After everything I did, I step back one pace so she can't catch my sleeve. The coin presses into my lifeline until I feel a tiny pulse of pain and clarity. I hold that pain like a tack pinning a note to a corkboard. I don't say anything that would turn into a headline if someone writes it down wrong. Min angles so the camera catches his mouth while he speaks. We will be taking you downstairs to transport, he tells Mom. You can choose to make a statement now or after consulting counsel. Call my lawyer, she says, and the sentence lands like a shoe thrown at a wall. Tran stays in frame. Counsel of record for the estate is me, she says, not claiming, just clarifying. Counsel for Mrs. Nguyen is unknown to this office. She keeps her hands visible and her tone at room temperature. The elevator chimes again. The bell is dull, coin on concrete. A woman in a red coat half steps in and then half steps back out when she sees the cuffs. Her perfume leaves a thin ribbon of flowers and cold air. She watches herself not stare in the mirrored steel. I turn toward Min and keep my voice small enough to be private, but strong enough to be on the tape. How do I give a statement? He hears the real question. He answers in steps. Come to the district precinct, he says. 3rd floor, interview room 2. Bring a photo ID, your notes, and any copies counsel gives you. Ask for me or Detective Hoa. He reaches into a chest pocket and offers a card without breaking eye contact with Mom. Case number is on the back. We'll log your statement and provide you a copy. If you remember something later, addendum is fine. Don't delete anything. Don't send originals by email. I take the card. It's warm from his body heat. I put it behind my phone case with the coin. The coin's warmth returns, a small sun on paper. I open notes and add 3 words. Case number, 3rd floor. I timestamp it. Procedure is a rope ladder in a burning house. I feel each rung before I step. Hoa tilts her head. Victim services is available, she says, quick but gentle. They can talk safety planning, protective orders, logistics. She doesn't flood me with forms, she just names the next door. I nod once to show I heard, and also that I can only hold so much at a time. Thank you. Mom laughs, a small knife of a sound. Protective orders, she says, as if the words themselves are a joke she can survive by telling. Tron hands Hoa an envelope with a red string tie. Second copy of the audio, labeled and hashed, she says. Index inside. My cover letter states consent policy and chain of custody. I've emailed the same to the case address. Hoa tucks the envelope into a larger evidence bag. The zipper mouth seals with a soft rasp. She reads the seal number back to the receptionist, who writes it and underlines it twice. The guard's radio whispers a brief, polite code and goes quiet. Phones tilt and hover, some lower, some don't. The room breathes again, careful breaths. My brother stands beside me like a chair he is not sure he can sit in. His bitten thumb blotches darker where he rubbed it on denim. He looks at me, and then at the cuffs, and then at the floor. His mouth opens and closes and stays closed. Mom tries a new angle, twisting in place to face me as far as the hinge allows. I fed you, she says, theater soft for the sympathetic. I kept you in shoes. You owe me. I let the coin decide my words. It stays in my palm, warm and simple. I say nothing. I do not make a promise I'll regret. I let the hum of the lights carry the seconds to the elevator. Min nods once to Hoa. They flank without crowding. We're going to walk now, he says. Nice and easy. They guide her toward the open elevator, a small corridor through witnesses who are suddenly furniture again. The courier remembers his feet and steps back. The man in the gray suit lowers his phone, embarrassed by his own hands. The redcoat woman wraps her scarf twice and looks at the floor tile like it's art. At the elevator, Mom turns her face for one last profile in the glass. She finds herself there, two of her, then one, and seems surprised by both. I'll remember this, she says. Almost a whisper, almost a wish. The elevator arrives with a bell that sounds like a dull coin on concrete. The doors part. Hoa places a hand to the small of Mom's back without pressure, just direction. Min steps in and holds the door with a flat palm against the sensor. As the doors close on Mom's reflection, I feel the coin cool and say, finish the will. We file back into the conference room like a tide returning to a mapped shore. The bright air thins into carpeted quiet. Tran wakes the tablet. The red tally light blooms again, steady as a small star. The notary finds her chair and sets her stamp on its ink pad. Light touch, like checking a pulse. My chair sighs when I sit. The coin is cool in my palm, a circle of winter. Tran's voice is steadier than mine. Resuming, she says, for the camera and clicks a file. The screen fills with Dad. Hospital gown rustle, like paper shaken once. His hair is thin but combed, the way he insisted even when he didn't have anywhere to go. The oxygen line runs along his cheek. It hisses softly, a little ghost of breath. His eyes are clear. He looks into the lens like he knows exactly where to find me. All right, he says, and the word is half laugh. Let's do this properly. My throat tightens and then releases a notch. The coin warms again as if his voice could transfer heat through glass. I bend my head so my face is out of the camera's line and watch the tremor at his wrist settle when he braces his hand on the blanket. I name my daughter as executor, he says. Careful as a woodworker setting a blade, he says my name. The syllables land and sit where they belong. I trust her judgment. She knows how to count and how to wait. My brother exhales like a cut string. His shoulder leans into mine. Wait without warning, and I take it. My aunt's breath catches and turns into a quiet, repeated prayer. The notary looks at the floor, then at the raised seal on the last page, then at nothing. The fluorescent hum floats over everything like a steady line on a heart monitor. Dad continues, voice even, less breathy the more he talks. I'm setting up a scholarship, he says, for students from your mother's hometown who need a hand with exam fees, like a neighbor once gave me. We'll call it the 1968 Fund. 1968. The coin warms to bright. Oil and cedar rush my nose like the garage door just rolled open. Lemon cleaner, the cheap kind he pretended was fancy. I rub the ridged edge once with my thumb and feel the tiny star nick line up with the crease in my palm. It hurts, then steadies me. Dad pauses to breathe. The oxygen whispers. He smiles at the camera, bare and boyish. It's not charity, he says. It's a debt repaid upstream instead of down. He turns his head slightly, and the gown whispers again. A stipend for your mother, he says, plain and unflinching. Conditional if she behaves, explicitly voided by fraud, coercion, or defamation. He looks like he carved the words and sanded them smooth. I hope she chooses well. In the silence that follows, the building settles. Tiny clicks in the vent, a faraway door thunk, the soft, papery squeak of someone shifting a folder. My brother makes a small sound like he's trying not to make any sound at all. He didn't know. I feel the moment it lands in him. He folds, not breaking, just releasing the fight he saved for a different story. Under the table, I slide my hand to find his and tuck the coin between our palms. It bites both of us. We let it. Heat and sting, shared. Tran lets the video finish, a closing line from Dad about the way to grease a stubborn hinge. The faint laugh he gives when he forgets the name of the brand and calls it the blue one. Then she stops the file and the oxygen hiss goes quiet. She squares the pile of papers until all the edges are even. She builds the next steps like a little bridge we can walk without looking down. Executor appointment letter, she says, sliding a tabbed page toward me with a neat pink flag. Sign here. Witnesses present. The pen in my hand is a little too heavy. It steadies me anyway. I write my name small but legible. The notary stamps the page with a soft thud. The raised circle catches the light. A little heart sound on paper. Inventory list, Tran says. Next tab, next slide. We will file with the court tomorrow morning. We serve notices within 10 days. First accounting due in 90. Her voice never wavers. The words are furniture. She places a metal keyring on the table, a tidy clink. These are for the storage unit and the workshop cabinet. Please sign the receipt. The keys are cold, then warm. The coin is warm, then hot. I line them up like siblings. Tran adds a file folder with green ribbon threaded through 2 holes and tied off with a seal. The packet for the clerk, she says. The ribbon is required by the local court. It keeps the stack together. By the door, the notary stamps the green ribbon with the press that leaves an embossed state seal. The sound is a little thud, low and round, like a palm against a hollow door. It exists in my chest as much as in the room. She writes the certificate number in her ledger with handprinter neatness and underlines it twice. I keep breathing in 4s. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Tran walks me through the checklist. Petition to probate, letters testamentary, publication notice in the legal paper, certified mail to listed heirs, bank accounts to be frozen then retitled, a tax ID for the estate, a separate ledger, no commingling. I know more of these words than I did a week ago. They land in my head and stay. My brother wipes his face with the heel of his hand and fails to pretend it's about dust. He squeezes my fingers under the table and then lets go like he's proud. He looks at Tran. He looks at me. The scholarship, he says. Horse, as if thigh were a new consonant. Really? I nod. Really? Tran's mouth softens. We can set up the trust this month, she says. I'll connect you with a non-profit administrator. We'll make it simple. The camera blinks its red eye once when the screensaver nips at it, then steadies back to glow. The receptionist passes by the glass carrying a stack of file boxes, labels facing out, dates written in blue pen with the little flourish on the 2s. The elevator dings faintly as someone far away goes somewhere ordinary. Here, Tran says, and places 3 sticky flags on the last pages. Sign, 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 she points, not impatient, just precise. Her pen clicks once between each instruction, a metronome for the part of my brain that wants to float away. I anchor to the coin, to the weight of the keyring, to the dry scratch of ink on paper. I write, I date, I print my name. The names look like mine as if they always have been. When it's done, Tran gathers the stack into the folder with the green ribbon, smooths the edges, and hands it to the notary. Filed copy will come back with the clerk's stamp, she says. We'll scan and send for your records. She gives me a smaller envelope with 2 cards inside. My cell, she says, and the paralegals will be at the courthouse when they open. I sit back. The chair creaks. The coin is hot enough now that I shift it from one palm to the other to rest the skin. My hands smell like paper and brass. The air tastes like old coffee and lemon cleaner. Some debts are real, and some are a story someone tells you until you believe it. Dad's voice walks the room and leaves it changed. Tran looks to me for the next move, not rushing. Do you need a minute? I shake my head. The coin cools as if it knows the temperature I need to be. We go to the precinct, I say, and my voice doesn't shake. The precinct smells like floor wax and old paper and something fried from a break room I can't see. The air is too cold on the back of my hands. The coin is warm in my pocket. A small sun against lining. A glass door buzzes. Hoa waves us through with a badge tap and a nod to the desk officer. Min peels off to a counter where a clerk lifts a clipboard without looking bored. I follow Hoa down a hallway of bulletin boards and vending machines, past a copier that hums like a patient insect. My shoes squeak once, then remember themselves. Interview room 2 is smaller than I imagined. A table bolted to the floor, 4 chairs, a camera in the corner with a red light the size of a pencil eraser. The paint is the color of old toothpaste. The door closes with a soft chunk that makes my shoulders rise. Hoa sets a digital recorder in the center and clicks it on. The tiny screen glows blue. This is a recorded statement, she says, calm as water. For the record, state your name. I say my name, I spell it, I add my date of birth like she asked. Trans paralegal, a woman with a tidy bun and a calm face, slides into the chair to my right and opens a file folder with the grace of a magician revealing nothing. She places a printed list in front of me, topics to cover, things not to guess at. Reminders to say to the best of my recollection. My pen touches paper and steadies my hand. We begin. Dates. The day I found the codicil on the kitchen island. The way the signature slanted downhill like a tired man. The refrigerator humming. The orange I was peeling. The plastic bag I slid the paper into without touching ink. The sticky note with the date. The cereal box. The coin tapping my thigh while I drove to Tran's office. I speak without rushing. I pause when I need to breathe. I wait for Hoa to nod. She asks how Mom talks when she wants something. I describe the rehearsal voice. The phrase, keep it in the family, like a door she tried to shut with words. I say how she taught me to owe her before I knew what owing was. The coin presses into my leg. It keeps time. I hand over copies. The paralegal opens a slim laptop and emails PDFs to a case address before my coffee cools. The paper cup sweats a ring I will remember later because the skin of my palm picks up the water and the smell of cardboard. Hoa reads the email header aloud for the recorder and says, received. She slides each page into a clear sleeve. The sleeves whisper. We stop once so she can swap the recorder's card. She labels the first one with a fine tip pen. My name, case number, date. The cap clicks back on. Chain of custody, spoken and lived. She initials a form. I initial where she points. Min leans in, knocks twice on the frame in a polite code, and passes a printed sheet across the table. Hoa scans it, mouth going flat for a second. She looks at me. We pulled emails, she says, giving me the headline and waiting to see if I can carry it. From your mother's account. Messages to a mobile notary. Cash offers. Requests for backdating. A bank inquiry on your father's line 2 days before he died. The room narrows. My stomach drops and lands on clean tile. I taste metal. I keep my mouth closed until the taste passes. We'll subpoena the bank records, Hoa says, voice low. We'll verify logins and IP addresses. For now, we document. We don't guess. Trans paralegal touches my forearm with 2 fingers, present but light. Breathe, she says. So soft the recorder won't catch it unless it gets promoted to memory. I breathe. In 4s. The coin is a warm anchor. I find it in my pocket and let it settle against knuckles. It clacks soft, once. A private bell. Hoa slides a pamphlet across. This is victim services, she says. Safety planning. A number you can call. We can help you file a temporary protective order if you want. It's independent of the criminal case. What does the protective order cover, I ask. My voice skims the tabletop and lands in my throat again. No contact, she says. No third-party contact. No interference with the administration of the estate. If she shows up at the workshop, you call us. If she emails or uses someone to message you, you save it, you screenshot, you forward to this address. She taps the case email printed at the top of the sheet with a nail that doesn't chip because she is too orderly to allow it. What about the workshop? I ask. If someone tries to retrieve documents, she is already nodding. You can request extra patrol, change locks, photograph before and after, keep a log. If you install cameras, post notice. Do not booby-trap anything. The last part makes her smile. It makes me smile too, a small, quick release that hurts my cheeks. I have the coin, I say, before I can stop myself. If you ever need it as an exhibit, keep it, Hoa says, and her mouth softens. It's not evidence, it's yours. The recorder ticks a quiet, steady digit. I give the rest of my statement. The way Mom's voice sounded on the recording when she said backdate like a suggestion she'd whisper to a priest. The exact sequence and reception, Min's words, the red tally light, the elevator bell, the cuff click. The coin's warmth like a second pulse. I line the moments up and push them across the table so they can be measured. We sign where she flags with small yellow arrows. My signature looks steady. Hoa prints me a copy of my statement, while Min appears in the doorway with a stack of forms clipped neat. Intake, charges drafted, bail hearing likely in the morning. He explains without drama. Arraignment judge will set conditions, he says. No contact, surrender passport. Maybe pre-trial check-ins. We'll ask for it. What do I bring tomorrow, I ask, and the question keeps my hands from shaking. Your ID, he says. Your notes, nothing sharp. Court runs on patience. Eat first. Leave your phone on silent. If press asks for comment, we're following the process works. The paralegal emails me copies of everything again, as if redundancy itself is a kind of faith. The copier down the hall spits out a last page and rests. A radio crackles in the bullpen and clears its throat. Someone laughs too loud and stops. We step back through the glass door. The precinct lobby carries voices like a tiled bathroom. The floor is buffed into a dull mirror. A man argues gently with a clerk about parking tickets. A woman with a sleeping toddler signs a paper and looks like she forgot the word sleep. The desk officer stamps a receipt. Thud. A precise, bureaucratic heartbeat. Outside, the evening smells like wet concrete and brake dust. Rain patters on the awning like fingers on glass. The sky is a low lid. Streetlight puddles hold bent versions of our feet. I flip the coin in my pocket. It lands against my knuckle with a soft clack that feels like a promise. I pocket my hands against the cold and stare down 9th, where headlights smear themselves into lines. Phones buzz almost together. Tran, then my brother, then a calendar alert I forgot to turn off. I silence the alert. I answer the only message that needs an answer. My screen fills with Tran's text, clean and exact. Court at 9, it reads. Wear something with pockets. Courthouse morning smells like old wood and nervous sweat. Varnish, paper, bleach. I run my thumb across the coin in my pocket until the ridges print through the lining. It steadies my spine, a small warm planet under cloth. We clear security, trays, belts, a soft beat when my bracelet forgets its metal and learns again. Tran moves like she's rehearsed this hallway 100 times. She is all angles and folders and a pen clipped exactly where it won't snag. Min meets us by the elevators, nods once, and points with 2 fingers, not a hand. 3rd floor. Arraignments. The hallway hums with HVAC and shoes. People line benches in straight-backed rows, eyes on phones, eyes on nothing. We sit on a hard bench. The coin prints a round mark through my slacks. The mark warms, then cools. Across the aisle, Mom's lawyer crouches to whisper in her ear. He cups a hand around his mouth like a priest cupping a candle in wind. Mom keeps her face turned away from me. She is fixed on a middle distance, where mercy might live. The clerk calls names at a clip that scrapes the paint off syllables. The bailiff's voice answers each with a low procedural rumble. Here. A printer coughs. Papers slide. The clock's second hand says one thing. Forward. Our case is called. People lift their heads. Mom rises with her lawyer at her elbow. Tran stands with me, then takes half a step forward when the judge looks up. Min angles to the aisle where he can see everyone at once. Hoa opens a folder that is already open. We approach the defense table and stop where tape on the floor suggests stopping. The judge is calm, clinical, the kind of man who could cut through a knot without sighing. He wears reading glasses on a chain. The chain glints when he lifts his head. Good morning, he says, and his voice is gravel-washed smooth. Counsel? Tran states her name for the record. Mom's lawyer does the same, adding the flourish of his firm like a badge. Min gives his. Hoa's pen ticks once in the margin and waits. Min begins. He does not perform. He testifies. Your Honor, detectives obtained audio recordings made by the law office pursuant to posted all-party consent policies. Notice is audible at the beginning of each call. We reviewed data logs providing date, time, and inbound line. We received call logs and a sealed thumb drive from counsel with chain of custody. Tran holds up a small clear envelope. The red string tie catches the light. Your Honor, drive labeled and hashed. Index included. Printed logs attached. I can proffer the consent posting and call greeting. The judge nods to the clerk. The clerk rises and takes the envelope like it might bruise, then sets it by the court recorder with a neat public care. The court recorder's machine clicks once, a little metal swallow. Play 20 seconds, the judge says. The speaker above the bench crackles. The greeting chimed yesterday chimes again here. Calls may be recorded. Then Mom's recorded voice, bright, practiced. I can bring a thank you envelope. And then, backdate. Tilted with entitlement like a porch roof in rain, the judge raises one eyebrow. Not subtle, he says. And the room relaxes a fraction because gravity just announced itself. Mom's lawyer clears his throat. Your Honor, we contest the authenticity. The judge lifts a single finger, not a scold, just a lever. Contest later, today is arraignment. Min continues, clean and dry. We also recovered emails from the defendant's account to a mobile notary offering cash to alter dates. Bank inquiry on the decedent's line 2 days prior to death. Subpoenas in progress. Mom's jaw works once. She stares at the defense table grain like she could sand it with her eyes. The coin presses heat into my thigh the way a hand warms a shoulder. I breathe in 4s, out in 4s. Tran's presence sits beside me like a level laid on a plank, bubble-centered. Charges, the judge says. The clerk reads, attempted fraud, bribery, intimidation of a witness. The words do not echo. They land and stay. The bailiff shifts weight. His radio mutters a tiny code and quiets. Plea? The judge asks. Mom's lawyer squeezes her elbow. Not guilty, he says. Conditions, Min says, and lists them like steps you can climb without looking down. No contact with listed witnesses. No third-party contact. No interference with the state administration. Surrender of passport. Maintain distance of 100 yards from counsel's office and the decedent's workshop. Pretrial services with weekly check-ins. Tran adds, almost gentle, protective order, Your Honor. The judge looks at me over the tops of his glasses. His eyes are not unkind. Temporary protective order will issue, he says. Clerk will provide copies. He sets bail at an amount that sounds like a number and a boundary. He does not choose drama. He chooses enough. The clerk slides the order toward me. Pen scratches. My name prints where it needs to be. The judge signs with a steady wrist. The fountain pen makes a soft whisper. The court seal stamps down with a low, round thud. Law made visible in paper and pressure. Mom stares straight ahead. Her mouth edges toward a smile that can't find its reason. Her lawyer leans in, murmurs, adjusts his tie, murmurs again. She won't look at me. I don't try to make her. Anything further, the judge says. Tran speaks, measured. Will provide any additional materials as received. For the record, the estate will be filed today. We request that no contact include estate staff and vendors. So ordered, the judge says, and the gavel's rap is sharp. A coin dropped into a jar you don't plan to open again. The bailiff says, next. And the room exhales. Benches creak, shoes whisper. The speaker above us goes back to its low electric breath. Min hands me a printed copy of the order and points with the edge of his clipboard where my signature acknowledges receipt. I sign. The pen is cheap and perfect. And, in the aisle, a reporter materializes with a mic foam, like a black tulip. He is careful with his hands. Comment? He asks, chin tucked to make himself smaller. I keep it small and true. We're following the process. He nods like he expected that and likes it anyway. The coin sits in my fist like a period at the end of a sentence. We are carried out on the slow current that moves bodies down courthouse halls. The elevator dings. The doors open like a held breath released. People step in and don't speak. On the ground floor, the lobby is a square of echo and marble that remembers every shoe. The security guard nods at Tran. She nods back. Mutual recognition of a long day shaped into lines. Outside, the rain is finer than last night. A veil that sticks to hair. It smells like steel and clean stone. I step into it and breathe. I ride the bus to the workshop because driving feels like too much speed after court. The late sun dusts everything gold when I unlock the side door. The key turns with a hollow clack. Dust motes lift like ash in a gentle wind. The air is oil and cedar and the lemon cleaner he liked to call fancy. I breathe it like a prayer. The wall is a map of his life. Pegboard silhouettes where tools used to hang. Outlines like ghosts. The nail where the coin lived is an empty exclamation point. I lift my hand and match my palm to the hole. The coin warms in my pocket as if it hears its old address. I know, I tell the wall. My voice sounds like I've been talking all day, and now I'm done. I stack what he left because stacking is the only thing that makes the room listen. Ledgers with spines softened by thumb. A cigar box of screws sorted by thread like seeds. The battered tin with chalk for marking wood. Blue, white, blue. I find the letter in the top drawer, folded twice, grease thumbprint at the bottom like a signature from his other hand. Keep it honest, he wrote. The paper smells faintly like machine belts and tea. The coin sits in the center of my palm. 1968 winks up from brass. I set it on the bench and it makes a small sound, a careful ding that feels like the room nodding back. I answer the bench with work. I sweep. I photograph shelves. I note what moves where. I pull out a roll of painter's tape and label drawers in a black marker hand that is not his, but tries for the same neatness. I tape a notice by the door because cameras went up this morning and Hoa told me to post. Recording in progress. No entry without permission. The blue tape tears with a satisfying rip. I call my brother from the stool by the vise. The vise smells like iron and hands. He answers on the second ring. His voice is rough and small and willing. We're doing it, I say. We're doing it, he says back. We speak without our childhood script. No defensive jokes, no quick surrenders. We plan as if planning is a way to move grief forward instead of sideways. Tran will set the trust. A simple sight. A board of 5. Us, a teacher from Mom's hometown. The principal from Dad's old school. Tran's paralegal if she can. First awards by spring. Exam fees first. Books after. A small ceremony in a library with a leaky radiator and a sign that says no food, no drinks, no gum. The picture in my head has the exact color of varnish and old hope. We choose a name that fits in your mouth. The 68 Fund. We write it down. We say it aloud like we're teaching a child to cross a street. We assign tasks like a checklist on the garage whiteboard. He'll gather the school contacts. I'll file the paperwork. Tran will draft the bylaws. We decide we want the logo to be a nail and a coin. We laugh once, and it doesn't sound wrong. I hang up and the room is quiet in a good way. I can hear the tick of the fluorescent starter above me. The heater coughs once and finds its breath. A train murmurs several streets away, the long, low note that folds time. The court calendar will churn for months, but the shape is clear even now. Mom's choices in ink, hearings set and reset. A stipend at risk under the clause that sits like a quiet blade. Restitution likely, and not the kind she can reframe as love. Our boundaries written and backed by a seal that thuds when it lands. It is not revenge. It is not spectacle. It is a ledger balanced so the numbers mean what they mean. On the bench, I find a Ziploc bag with a roll of cabinet locks he meant to install. I install them. The screwdriver fits my hand the way it always did in his. The screws bite cleanly. The wood takes them without splinter. Click, click, click. I take photos of the cabinet closed and locked. I email them to the case address with a subject line Hoa will recognize. I put the phone on the bench and the coin on top of the phone as if I am paperweighting the future. There is a knock on the side door. I startle and then remember, the locksmith. He arrives with a canvas pouch and a polite smile. He smells like rain and copper. He changes the deadbolt and the handle, then sets the old brass pieces on the bench in a small, respectful pile. His punch makes a clear, hollow ping that echoes in the pipe that runs along the ceiling. He hands me new keys on a ring. They are cold, then warm. I sign his work order and write the case number in the margin like a charm. Evening leans in. The windows pink and then go quiet. I lock the new lock, test it twice, and leave through the front so the cameras catch my face leaving. I hold the coin through my pocket as if someone might ask to see it. Someone does not. It is mine by use and by story. The law office is half lit when I get there because it's almost closing. The receptionist recognizes me and pours a fresh coffee as if her hand has made this move 1,000 times for moments exactly like this. It smells better than the precinct coffee, less like burnt hopes, more like permission to go on. 3 forms, she says, and smiles a tired smile that understands how long a day can be. Tran appears with a thin stack tied with a green ribbon. The ribbon has crisp edges and a memory for knots. We sign on the flagged lines. Pen scratches, paper breathes. The notary stamps with that same low thud that feels like a heart under a palm. The elevator dings in the hall, gentler now, like a bell rung with a finger instead of a hammer. I catch my reflection in the glass wall on the way out. My hair is damp from earlier rain. My shoulders are lower. I look like someone I would believe. On the sidewalk, the city smells like warm stone and wet bus brakes and scallion pancakes from a cart 1 block over. I flip the coin across my knuckles the way Dad used to, when he thought about hard things he was going to do anyway. The brass flashes once. It lands on the back of my hand and pauses like a word at the edge of being said. I finally understand why he kept it. Not as treasure, as a tool. Weight you can feel, edge you can use, reminder you can carry. I roll it once more and pocket it. I pay what I owe to the truth, not to you.